Hello everyone, welcome to another My 2015 tutorial. We've been working on this catapult for a little while, and we're going to continue with our project here. So um, today we're going to make the wheels for this, and we're going to make the winch assembly. So I'm going to let's just turn textures off right now while I'm creating the wheels. I'm going to start out with a cylinder, so I'm going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives, and Cylinder. Just translate this cylinder over here. Okay. Just going to scale this cylinder down, and I'll scale it up. Let's rotate it on its side a little bit. Put 90 degrees in the rotation here. Now I'm not going to name it quite yet because I'm going to wait until I have all the components and they're all combined before I start going into naming conventions with this thing. Because there's going to be quite a few pieces that's going to go into making this wheel look right. Okay, so that looks like it's placed just about fine. Might need just a little bit further. There we go. Now it's poking out. Okay, so something I also want to do here, I'll turn on wire on shade, which is this little blue box with the white outlines. So click on this guy here, hold down V, you can middle mouse button drag this to what is the center of this axle. And as what will happen is if you turn on X-ray, you can see that's locking onto this vertex at the end of the axle, and that's what we're after. So now it's been locked on, I can translate it back, and it should be right on center with that vertex, which it is. Okay, perfect. Alright, so let's do a little bit of work on this. We'll isolate it, so I'll use this isolate select. I'm going to use the faces on, let's just say, now you can use both sides of these if you want to, but I really only need one side, so just to save some trouble when it comes to laying out the UVs, I'm just going to lay out the UVs on one side. Okay, so deselect that, whatever you guys just saw me do that, is all I do for deselection is hold down Control and do a marquee box like that, and then just deselect spaces that are inside the marquee box here. Okay. So now I'm ready to do my extrusion. So we've gone through extrude a bunch of times, so I'm not going to go through the menu sets on where to find it. I'm just going to use mine on the shelf right here because that's why I have it there. Just ease of use, faster workflow. Okay, turning on the power symbol here, so I can make it to where my gimbal gizmo here is at the center of these extruded faces, and I want to grab that little teal box there at the center. Just kind of bringing it about like that. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to hit the letter G, repeat the last command, and I'll just translate this back a little bit. So I have this little inset look going on. Get a little further. There we go. Okay, that's probably good enough. Alright, now I want to add a little bit of tread to this wheel. I mean, we could make it work just as is, not have any tread on there, but I think it looks visually more interesting if there's some tread on there. So I'm just going to select every other face here. Okay. Now we're good. Now we need to do an extrusion here, and that will give us our treads. So I'll show my extrude tool one time, and I'm going to use it as is because it pops the manipulator right on top of this face here, which is what I want. So you can be a little creative here if you wanted. You can just leave it as is like this. If you want to create something a little bit more interesting, you guys can extrude and create a little bit more spiky looking treads if you want to. That's all up to you guys. I'll leave that up to you. I'm going to leave it simple for this video here. Oops, it looks like I had a little accident here on the back, so I'm just going to hit Control Z a couple times to go back and unselect this face here. There we go. Run my extrude tool again. It's good to be able to go through and check your work to make sure that everything looks the way you want it on both sides. Looking at it from one side, you can be like, oh, this looks good, and then look on the back and you have an accident like I did. Okay. Alright, so this is looking good. I'm now ready to add in some more components to this. So let's take it out of isolate select. Let's grab one of these screws here, and we're gonna. Well, actually, actually that's a good one. We're gonna grab this one right here. Hit Control D. We'll just duplicate it, and bring it on over here, and we'll put it just on the outside. And put it in between the tread. This is all aesthetic. You guys can put it wherever you want. I don't really care. But for me, this is where it's going to go. And I need to move the pivot point to the center here so I can use my duplicate special to fill in or populate these screw heads all the way around the outside of the wheel. So I'll hold down the letter D and the letter V. So D allows me to move my pivot point. V will allow me to vertex snap. Since I still have wide around shader on, I can see there's that center vertex there that I'm after. So I'm going to middle mouse button drag from the center of this manipulator until it pops down. There we go, on this vertex. Alright, so now if I hit my rotate tool, I can test it and make sure that it's going to work properly, and it does. Okay. So now I can go ahead and open up my duplicate special. So I'm going to go to Edit, Duplicate Special, open the submenu for this. I need to make sure that's rotating around the right axis, because right now it says I have values inside the rotate X. Our other values are Y and Z. So if it was going to rotate around the Y, that would mean that it would be rotating around this way. X and Z are the around the X axis or around the depth axis. So I think this is right. So we're just going to leave this as is, and I'll put in 12 as far as the amount that I'm going to be duplicating. So I'm going to apply. Okay. Make sure to accidentally duplicate one too many. I did. Okay. So I'll just delete off that extra one. Maybe 11 is the magic number for this one. Okay. So this is looking good. I'm going to do a little bit more work here. I want there to be some cross sections here. Now let's work smart here. I want to create a cube and then have to lay out the UVs for it. So let's turn our textures back on, and let's grab we'll just grab this one right here. Oh, actually we'll grab this one. It's already kind of sized right. So I'll just duplicate this one over here and bring it down and over. And what I'm doing here is I'm just going to use what we already got. We'll use pieces we've already built and laid out UVs for as much as we can. And then we'll just scale it down and fit it into position. There's just going to be like a cross brace that will go inside here. Okay, that looks about right. Get a little bit of like the corners here popping out. I'm just going to grab the corners here and just translate them in. That way, not poking out of the wheel here. Okay, so I'll just duplicate this guy here and I'll move it down. Same thing over here. Just grab the vertexes and just push those in a little bit. Okay. And I'll grab some of these screw heads here and Control D, center the pivot on it, and I'll just translate them over. It'll make it look like there's a couple screws that are also on this beam here. Position both of these guys, one on each side. Select them individually, or select them together, duplicate them, and then translate them down. It looks like they might be a little bit too far in, so let's go ahead and just close that just a little bit more. There we go. Alright, that's looking good. Now we just need to texture our wheel here, and we're done with this particular wheel. Okay, so let's turn wire on shaded off. Let's create some UVs. So back to polygons here, go to create UVs, automatic mapping. I think that projection is a little bit big. Let's shrink that down a little bit. Okay. That was about right. Okay. let's jump inside of our UV texture editor and we'll lay out the UVs for this guy. Actually, you know what? I didn't even almost skip a step. We don't have to back up or anything. We can still lay out the UVs and move forward, but we do need to attach this wheel to the Hypershade UV texture shader that we created. UV map Lambert. Okay, there we go. Alright, now we can go to our UV texture editor. Panels, panel, UV texture editor. Okay, we'll zoom back a little bit here. Turn on our shell. Okay. For UV, let's just take all these out of here. Move them off to the side. Okay. Alright, let's see what we got here for this one. Yeah, that one looks good for that one. Okay. And I like this one to be metal. Maybe I should make it metal, since I have metal screws on there. Let's see what that one looks like. I think it just makes more sense it being metal, so it's going back metal. But I do want these extra pieces over here, the little tread pieces. I want those to be separated from this. So I'm going to go to my edge mode, and I'll just select every edge here. Now this is just, again, aesthetically, this is what I want to do. You guys don't necessarily have to do this for your project, but for me, I don't think the metal should be up here in the tread. So I have all those edges there selected. So I'll use my snip tool. So now I cut it away from the island. So now I can go to shells here. Take this shell here, move it off to the side. Go to UV mode, select all these guys here. And let's push all these up into this other wood texture up there. There we go. And we can take all these guys and push them back into the metal. Alright, that looks about right. Okay, now at this point I just need to go through and grab the rest of the stuff and stick it in there, because the backside one isn't even visible. It's going to be on the back, obviously. And everything else is in between these treads here. So maybe I'll take all of these tread and just rotate them, and then start popping them into this wood texture here. Okay. That looks okay. Okay. Done texturing. Let's go ahead and take a look at this isolated and see what we got. Alright, that looks pretty decent. That's going to work for me. Pull it back out of isolate mode. Now I'm ready to grab all these components and combine them into one object. So I'll just select each one of them. Okay, now I'm going to go to Mesh, Combine. So now they're all one object. Then we'll go to Delete History. You'll find that also underneath Edit, Delete by Type History. I'm going to center pivot. So now the pivot point is at the center of this wheel. And I'll freeze the transforms, which they were already frozen because I made them a single object and frozen already. So, alright, so we're good, ready to move forward here. We just have to start naming these things as we're going. So I'm going to call this first one here, I'm going to call this one Mesh Wheel Front R. And let's hit duplicate, and we'll just move this. Oops. I thought I combined these. I must have not, and I've grabbed, okay, my bad, I thought I had everything. Apparently I missed one thing, the most important part, the wheel itself. Okay, so we'll go back and combine them now. Again, delete history, freeze transformations, center pivot, and we'll try this again. Go ahead and call this one mesh, wheel, front, R. Okay, and let's hit Control D. Duplicate that guy. Just bring it on over here. Now, got a little bit of a problem here. I got my these support beams that are pushing through a little wider than on the over here. This one here. So I'm just going to move it out to about right there. And let's see if that almost works. I'm going to have to make my axle just a little bit wider. Okay. Okay, that works for me. Now I'm ready to, I have to go rename this one as well, so let's go ahead and call this one rear. And we'll get rid of the one, that. And we'll freeze transformations. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to grab both these guys here, and we're going to group them, so Control G, Control D. And now we're going to put a -1 in the X scale, that'll mirror them to the other side. Okay. And we need to now make sure that these ones are now changed from front R to front L. And this one over here from rear R to rear L. Okay. Now these ones are, names are important. So the reason why I'm making them specific is because we're going to be using their names to drive an expression that will cause the wheels to turn as we manipulate them around through the control rig we're built for it. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and save now, just because we've done a little bit of work and want to make sure we're continuously saving as we're going forward. Okay, so now we're ready to work on the winch. So let's go ahead and start on that. We're going to create ourselves a new cylinder. So we're going to create a polygon primitive cylinder. And again, I'm going to turn the textures off. We don't need them on for right now. Just uses up processing power. I don't need to slow my computer down right now. Okay, now we're going to rotate this cylinder on its side. So put the value of 90 degrees in the Z. And we're going to scale this guy up and out a little bit. Alright. That's a little too wide. About right there is good. Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit more. Just got fitted on in there between the brackets. Okay, that looks pretty decent, I think. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to go and drop in some edge loops. So we're going to turn our edge loops. And if you know how many loops you're going to do automatically, you can drop all of them in at the same time. But I like doing 2 at a time. That way I can scale them apart from each other. So turn on multiple loops, double click or put in 2 there. If you didn't see how I open this up, you can just double click on this insert edge loop tool after you've turned it on, and that will make it to where your submenu will open up. Okay, so just click here. Got 2 new edge loops. I'm going to use my scale tool to push those new edge loops apart. Now make sure that they go onto the other side of this bracket here. That's important. Okay, I'm going to activate my insert edge loop tool again. And now I'm going to scale these ones here apart. Okay. Alright, so now we have the option here. We're going to cause there to be, or you can select these edge loops going around we just created, or the face loops, and create an inset where the axle is going to sit, or we can extrude out the faces on the side. And I think that doing it inset is what I'm going to go with right now. So I've got these two loops selected. I just selected one face, hold down shift, double click the face next to it, and that'll give you the whole loop. Hold down shift, do the same thing over here. Okay, so now they're both selected. We're on my extrude tool, and I'll just push those in. Alright. Might make this just a little bit bigger. Things, there we go. That looks good. Okay, so that looks decent. I could always fidget with it later, but this looks okay to me. So I'm going to now create the UVs again for it. Create UVs, automatic mapping. What's that? Projection is pretty decent. Let's leave that alone. Now I'm going to go back to my object mode. Select my cylinder here, and I'm going to attach this to our UV texture shader that we've been attaching everything to. So go to my hypershade, right mouse button on assign material to selection, and now if I check, it's now attached to there. That's good. Okay. Jump back into my UV texture editor. So panels, panel, UV texture editor. Okay. Grab all these UVs here, all these shells, and just push them off. Okay. I think that I'm going to use, go to shell mode. I think I'll continue using this lighter wood over here, just because there's so much that is done with dark wood in this that I'll try to even it out a little bit. I'm just going to go and grab each one of these shells and just bring it into this area. I can turn on textures and see how it's looking, see if it's something I like, which I'm pretty sure I'll be okay with it. Now, if you really want this to look good to where like the grains weren't being broken at all, and you're going to be a stickler to make sure that if this was going inside of a game and some people were going to see it, or if there's going to be a close-up shot of it, you can go through and stitch all of these UVs together to where the wood grains, as it goes around some of the stuff, it's got a much more seamless look. But if no one's going to see it, sometimes you're not necessarily going to need to spend your time stitching a perfect UV set just so that all of the textures are seamless and there's no seams or artifacts or anything visible. Okay, so let's see what we got going on here. Hop back out of here. Yeah, I mean that looks pretty good. I didn't have to stitch anything. So the only thing I would change is probably this face here. I would make to where it ran with the grain. And I can do that really quick. Just go panels, go back to the UV texture editor, and then just go to shells, and then just over here rotate it until it matches up with some of this grain there, like that. I mean, it's not going to be perfect because the grain up here isn't going to match, but the grain over here does. So, and it does on this side as well. Okay, so that looks pretty decent. Let's go ahead and create the inner components and then the pegs and all that. It's going to go into finishing off this winch assembly. So I'm going to create myself another cylinder. Create primitive cylinder. And let's bring this one up. Flatten it out, kind of like on one of the wheels. And there we go. Go ahead and grab these edges here, and these edges here. We'll add a little bevel to them. Okay, and flatten this out just a little bit more. Okay, that looks good. Now let's go ahead and again create some UVs for it. Automatic mapping. That looks pretty good. Okay. And now we're going to go to our hypershade, and we're going to assign it to that same shader that everything's been assigned to. Okay, so now we just got to go ahead and create, or go to the UV texture editor again and edit out these UVs. So jump back into here, we'll go to panels, panel, UV texture editor. If you guys are having trouble finding this this little icon here that splits the screen for you, the panel layout, you guys can always go to panels, and then down here inside the panel you'll see that, or I'm sorry, save panels. You can go in here and find some of the stuff that way, or you can go to panels, and then I believe, let's see here, no, panel editor. It'll allow you to pick out whether you're going to do a split view or not. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to grab all our UVs here, and we'll just move them off to the side. I'm going to go back to my shell mode. And this one I'm going to, let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to just put it all in this dark wood here. Okay, that looks good. Let's see how these grains are facing. That looks right. Let's just scale it down so it's not. Okay, and maybe we can just go ahead and stitch all these together. That would probably save some time. So I'll just go to the side edge here, and I'll just activate my stitch tool and just pop all of these in here. Okay, so now they're all in there, and just need to grab the UVs I didn't mess with, fix those really quick. There we go. Alright, so that looks about right. Okay. Exit out of our UV texture editor. I'm not going to bother trying to name all the winch components either, because it's all going to eventually end up being combined just like the wheel was. Alright, so now I'm going to go to my channel box here. I'll rotate this 90 degrees in the Z, and I'm going to scale this up. Slide it. Now, if you're following along the book makes it to where the pegs runs right into this bracket, which doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to put this other wheel here, just so it looks like these pegs are attached to something besides just somehow burning through this bracket. I'm not sure how that works. Let's snap it actually to this center part here, and now you push it back. Get a little bit of penetration at the bottom here, but I don't think that you would notice unless I pointed it out, so I'll just leave that alone. Otherwise I'll have to push it further out. Let's see if I push it out what it looks like. No, I don't have any time space for the text. I'm just going to cheat a little bit, and that'll just be our secret. So I'll duplicate this other one here. I'm just going to move it out. That kind of push through like that. Okay. We're just going to need to make this a little bit bigger is all there is to it. So I'm just going to grab the vertexes and on the side here, both sides. It's got to be symmetrical. And just move them out slightly. Okay. Otherwise this would have just been too cramped. Okay, so now we can move this over here. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Okay. I think that is going to be where we're going to stop for today. We're at almost half an hour right now, so let's go ahead and save. Save scene. Continue. Um, and in the next lesson, we'll do the cross spokes here, and we'll create the handle, finish off the winch here, and then we'll start working on the catapult arm itself. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next lesson.